the brick construction of the arena floor, and all around those walls that were held on top of all the seats, depending on the social class. So that is the views nowadays, but before we were talking about the gladiators fights. Back then, the view was this one. So a wooden floor that was completely covering, you see behind, there was volcano water. So on top they would put like also fake trees, fake rocks, recreate like a fake landscape. The gladiators needed to do those fights against the wild animals that we see before, and as you can see, all the seats were around, facing down the main field. Okay, so that was one kind of main shows that we do inside. But you have to know, that is the step that you need to know before, that the underground part, when the Colosseum was built in the 80 after Christ, so the inside of the oval, before we didn't have bricks and concrete. So was made with a different material. The inside part, the underground part before, was completely made in wood. And what is the main difference? Well, if you have bricks and concrete, it's something stable. You cannot move it. Well, the wood is something removable. Okay? So why they needed the inside part to be removable? Because they could, in some days, in just few hours, remove the arena floor, untie all the wooden floors. So imagine that all the oval down there in few hours would be completely empty, with no walls. So all of this oval without the walls. You would say, but why they needed the inside part to be completely empty? Because apart from the gladiators fights, they were organizing also something else. First of all, you need to know that Rome is the first city that has an underground system of aqueducts, tunnels that bring water from outside the mountains to the city center, still active. In the days when the Romans decided to remove the underground part, they would use those aqueducts to fill this space up with water. So it was flooded inside of the Colosseum. So it turned to be like a swimming pool. They would say, but hold on, why? So apart from the gladiators fights inside the Colosseum, they could organize also naval battles inside the Colosseum 2,000 years ago. Google why? To impress the people. This was quite impressive 2,000 years ago to look at. So why they were doing this? Once again, to create the shows, to feed the people with entertainment. So first of all, this was down there. But even more impressive is that the day before was this. Okay, so since now we know that this part was made in wood, so it was removable. First, they would remove everything. Then, using the aqueducts, it would take just around 7 hours to flood inside of the Colosseum. When they reached the level where used to be the arena floor, they would close the aqueducts. The water would stay perfectly inside. And then, what about the boats? They would put the boats outside on top of big chariots. So it was easy to move the boats around. Push the boats through the 4 biggest arches that the Colosseum has: south, north, east, and west. You see the shape of the boats, it's more long than wide, so they would fit through the arches, and then they would do one team on one boat fighting against the other team on the other boat. They would do real naval battles inside the Colosseum. Then what happened? After one naval battle was over, they could remove the boats, put them outside, drain all the water. Of course, the Romans were dangerous. They invented also a draining system. All the water would be drained towards the river that we have in a few minutes to walk. And then this space will be empty again. So next day they would do everything but backwards. So rebuilt the underground part made in wood, put on top the wooden floor, put the sand, and next day do gladiators fights. So when the underground part was made in wood, so it was removable, it was possible to do both. One day naval battles, the next day gladiators fights. 2,000 years ago. Huh? Then what happened? Because now a lot of people ask me, what happened to the wooden part? Well, first of all, wood lasts so much. But main thing, we know that they did not so many naval battles. Try to guess why? A lot of work and a lot of money. And he was the only one giving money. The emperor. So the emperor said, no more naval battles. Too expensive. Stop with them. you will use the Colosseum just as a stadium for the gladiators fights, that's when they say that, okay, hold on, no more naval battles, so we don't need anymore the underground part to be removable. Let's replace the wood that is not even a stable material with bricks, concrete and stones that is more stable. That's why now you see those materials that just when after they decided to stop with the naval battles. So sometimes the people heard about the naval battles, then they come over here and ask me, how can you have those walls? Now you know, before it was made in wood, so it was removable. That's why they stopped with the naval battles, they replaced it with the parts. You know about the naval battles? You saw the movie? I hate that movie. The Gladiator on the second part, they show the naval battles. So before the movie, I was going to this. Third things, another. I never saw in the movie. So I don't know if you, well, some of you saw the movie, some of you maybe will see it. You will see naval battles. It's not fake. It's true. Happened in naval battles. There is something fake that you will see in the movie. You will see that the Romans in the movie, between the boats, they will put sharks. Sharks inside the Colosseum, 100%. So that is a little lie of the movie. It's a movie has to be a little bit more dramatic, but no sharks inside the Colosseum. But naval battles, yes. Okay. So take your pictures over here. Then I will take you also on the other side. Because once again, it's something I don't know what happened to me, but then let's. Let me take you on the other side, so you have even another point of view. Okay? If you need more time for the pictures here, you can open. Something on the wall. So if we can create like a wide open it's over here, huh? So in front of me, so you can see it. Or we can see me, hear me. So with the what I want to tell you is that I don't think this line that was really Colosseum. Outside, inside it, you see that everything is covered with some. So you will notice now that you know this, you will see holes. What happened? So imagine that now we saw that the Colosseum is made in three main materials. We have the Travertino, the bricks, and the concrete. So before the asphalt was fixed. So this was the inside part of the Colosseum. Imagine that before everything of the Colosseum, all the walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything was covered by a thin layer of white marble. White marble was completely covered, it wasn't the Colosseum. That's a way of decoration. That also, it's more inside. It used to be the metal brackets that were holding those layers of marble. So imagine inside like a little metal plate. Concrete attached to marble. Marble is beautiful then. Like marble. So imagine marble all over. Okay. And then you could look around and see what happened. Where is the marble? What happened to the metal brackets? Why we have those holes? So imagine you have this place full of marble. Last before we say that after almost 500 years, Colosseum was abandoned as a state. Imagine you have this place abandoned, full of marble. What happened? They came inside and decided to store all the marble that was on the walls. Why? So instead of buying new marble, they came inside. They say, "Oh, let's all this marble so we can produce it." Why they needed all of that marble from the Colosseum? To build the new St. Peter's Basilica. The Vatican. The Vatican, the main church or the some Catholics made with the marble that was inside the Colosseum. Just like so when they removed the marble, that is when they also created the holes. So also metal was expensive, so they could remove the metal plates, mount the metal bricks and the weapons. As you can see, the Romans always had this idea of recycling. So they said, why do we have to buy new marble? Last, to get the white marble wasn't nearby. They had to go all the way in Tuscany. They have the caves of Carrara. days of traveling. They say, we have all of this marble over here, let's remove it. Also, without laying the original Colosseum to stand, because it was just a thin layer, they reused it to create the center. That's something common that happened in Rome. That some ancient monuments, especially connected with the first religion, Paganity and the pagan gods, they've been destroyed to recycle the materials and create inside the churches. That's what happened. Okay. But that's what it looks now. You will see not just inside the Colosseum, but also all over. Since we have some documents of the people that were walking inside the Colosseum at that time, they were describing the beauty of this place, we can recreate the aspect of the Colosseum inside at that time with the decoration of marble. So let me. So this will be the aspect of the Colosseum inside with all the decoration of marble. Not too close, otherwise you cannot see. Are you ready? So this will be the aspect of the Colosseum inside, all over the galleries in each of the 3 floors. All over, this was the aspect. Ready? This is my third part. I will show you. No worries, I will show it to you.
Wow.
Again. That was the aspect of the Colosseum inside with all the marble. As you can see, marble was not just like a white marble. First, they would do many carvings using a hammer and a knife, and everything was painted. That was, I have goosebumps. That was the aspect of the Colosseum inside all over. Looks like a church. Maybe say, oh, that's a nice decoration. Let's do the same inside here. So that was the aspect. Before they removed the marble, the people would walk inside 2,000 years ago. That was the view. But after I show this picture, always comes a question. They say, there, hold on. Colosseum. A nice size, no? We saw before. Plus imagine that the bricks inside the Colosseum are handmade one by one. We saw the size, we know the system of the foundation, the aqueducts, the naval battles, the missing part of the Colosseum that collapsed. This was the aspect inside. How many years it took at that time to build the whole Colosseum? I guess. If you know them, say it, don't you?
40 years.
How many?
40?
40 years, you would say. Okay. Someone else? Want to guess? Oh, no one is forced. That means no bad answers. We're not a school, no votes. Oh, we started. 25. 25. What did you say? Sorry?
70.
70 years. Okay, so we have 40, 25, and 70. Someone else? 100. 100. So go there. Oh.
200.
How many? 200. Okay. Well, we have different options. All of your answers make sense. So, first of all, thank you for saying that. Imagine to build the whole Colosseum at that time. Everything ready with all of these. It took just the pressure. 8.
Wow.
8.
Wow.
With all of those decorations. But all of you that close, I mean, your answers make sense. Me, before starting the Colosseum, I'm honest, my guess was 500 years. Inside I was like, all those things. I thought 500 years. Usually people say 500, 1,000. Well, yesterday someone said, oh, for me it took 4,000 years. I'm like, okay, hold on, it's 2,000 years old, 4,000 years. It's a little bit too much. I mean, many weird answers, but 8 years is quite impressive. How come it's possible? Well, first reason, slaves. At that time, they had a lot of slaves. So we know from documents that almost 30,000 slaves were to build a Colosseum in the 8 years. 30,000 something. Second main reason, the Romans were good engineers. Look what they did, just using bricks, concrete, and stones. And also a reason, maybe the main one was that we had an emperor who gave the money to build the Colosseum. His name was Vespasiano. Vespasiano said, I will give you my money to build the Colosseum as a gift for the Romans. smart. He wanted to gain the support of the people. What he said also, be fast because I would like to see this place done when I'm still alive. At that time, life was different. They would live 100 years old. We live 40, 45. They had to be fast to work in the day, in the night, with no stop, to build the Colosseum as soon as possible. They started in the 72. In the 80, it was 80. The emperor died the year before. The luckiest person, yeah. He died in the 79. The Colosseum was done in the 80. In fact, this was done under the empire of his son Titus. Okay, but he saw was right. And also down over there, if you walk on the Via dei Imperiali, you will see that they're still doing some work in progress. They're trying to build a little subway station. Well, the main thing is that they started the working of the subway 40 years ago, still not done yet. Subway, 40 years, not done. The Colosseum in 8 years. So now you understand the difference. So they keep saying the subway this year will be done. I remember I was not even born when they started building the subway. I mean, nowadays it's different. The first, of course, I'm glad we don't have slaves. But nowadays, the main problem in Rome is that every time they do excavation, you keep finding ancient stuff in the underground. So that's why it takes forever when you do excavations in Rome. You have to think about Rome as a lasagna. Okay, different layers. So when you do excavation in the underground, oh, pieces of marble, pieces of sand. That's why it's taking so long. Apart from this, so 8 years to build the Colosseum. When you go back home, you can flex. Now, let me take you this way. Rich ones decided to use this material because in the hot days they could sit and enjoy the freshness. They thought about everything, imagine. So now it's easier to understand what happened to the 6 million marble. Stolen. Okay, so the marble pretty much was stolen. We still have something left, but the rest you will find in St. Peter. Yeah, you see those little like plates with water. We have 4 cats that they live inside the Colosseum. Yes, but they're a little bit shy, so usually when the people are here, they hide. But the staff of the Colosseum give them food, water. They have also the little bed with a blanket, so they're very spoiled. In fact, those were just street cats. Then they decided to be inside, and then they said, oh, "Let me stay here. I have the Colosseum, VIP cats." They're also quite famous, so they have like Instagram page. A lot of people they ask me, "Can we see the cats of the Colosseum?" So we have an orange cat. He's like the king of the Colosseum, the male one. His name is Augusto. Big orange cat, very chubby, and he's always in a bad mood. Augusto always hides or always like this. Then we have a black and white cat. Her name is Cesarina, and then we have also a black cat. Her name is Tigrotta. Tigrotta in Italian means little tiger. She's very cute. So those are the cats that live inside the Colosseum. In fact, I don't know if you see that every door has like a little passage. So if they want, they can go outside. Guess what? They never go outside. So let me stay here. So when we go closer, I will see if I can see the cats. I will tell you. The emperor will be right around here. That's why he didn't have a good point of view. He was the one giving the money. He wanted to have the best point of view. Keep in mind that the emperor was not sitting like here, because over there are lions and tigers and gladiators. So the emperor box was like 3 meters up high. It was elevated, so you could have the best point of view, but it was protected from the animals to jump into the climb, and also from the gladiators. Now you will know why. I will go slowly, yeah. But usually, slowly, gently, you put a finger and then you drink from here. Something outside the 312 of the Christ, symbol of the cup. And then from here, what happened to the menorah? No, maybe in the future, in June, July, August, we have like 118 degrees. In south, it's like 40, 41, 42. It's a nightmare. So this is like perfect weather. I don't know for you, but for me, I'm used to those hot temperatures in the last months. So this is like the weather, apart from the weather. I was saying that in front of us we have this beautiful valley that is called the Valley of the Roman Forum. Forum in ancient Latin means square. In fact, at the end of this street, called the Via Sacra, that is the Holy Road, in front of the last arch you see down there, you will see a square. Then like, you have a nice view from the top, of course. This is the best way to see it. So at the end, pretty much, the valley in front of us has this aspect. As you can see, this arch is that one over there. So in front of the arch, when you see this green cross, this square, you see the square, it's a forum. So the Roman Forum is this main square at the center of the valley. So what was the city center? Okay, like the downtown of the city. So around the square, like markets, shops, main buildings, main temples, everything that was important of the city, connected to the political or religious life, was around this square. So all around them, if you are like an important family, a rich emperor, you want to give the money to build your monument or building where? In the city center. So nowadays, the view of the Forum is this one. But before, since it was the city center of Rome, looking this way. So everything was made in marble, in gold, precious materials. The people have to walk through the Forum. They have to feel that Rome was the most powerful city of the Roman Empire. What happened? Well, the story of the marble of the Colosseum happened also here. So, since everything was connected to the first religion, pagans, pagan gods, pagan emperors, they came inside with the years, it happened at once, and they destroyed everything, so then they could recycle the marble and create instead the churches. So don't think that no, the aspect is this one with the ruins because it's ancient, no. Otherwise, how could you explain this arch has 2,000 of years still standing? It's because all of this was destroyed to recycle the marble that was expensive to create instead a Christian border. Okay, so when the people ask you, so you walked inside through the Forum, what was this Forum? You can say it was the ancient city center of ancient Rome. And it was looking this way. Then where you have some nice views from the top, I can show you even more some highlights. Then, if this is the Roman Forum, over there, where you see the hill with the trees, that is the Palatine Hill. We said before, the place where Rome was founded. I will say again the date, just maybe before you didn't hear me. Rome was built in the 753 before Christ. That means 2,778 years ago. Almost 3,000 years of history. So the very small city of Rome was built on top of the hill, also because it was protected by nature. Then the city years started to grow. So they moved the city center from the top of the hill in front of us, so where we have the valley. And what started to be over there? On top of the hill, they started to build the palaces of all the different emperors. That also was important for the emperors to say, I have my palace right on top of the place where Rome was founded. And in ancient Latin, the word for palace is palatium. Palatium, palatine hill. That is why. And at the top of the hill, we have some ruins of those palaces, because also the palaces, of course, have been destroyed to recycle the expensive materials. Okay, so if here was the downtown, up there was like the valley, to make it more easy to understand. So almost, so you can take your pictures. Then I will also show you the white building over there. So if you want to go closer to the front, you can. I mean, more Roman than this. No? Beautiful. Come over here. Okay. Form. And a basilica in ancient Rome was something different, so it was not a church. So a basilica was a building connected to political life. Each dynasty, each senator, and move so you can take pictures. Each dynasty, each senator would have their own basilica inside the forum, because that it was like a big covered street. The emperors would be in the middle of the basilica, and then they can do all the political feats. Before basilica was a building connected to political life. It's called the Villa Farnese because this rich family, the family Farnese, gave the money to build this fancy villa. They built this very unique fountain with all the plants and the down. They said, let's have some beautiful gardens all the way around. So walking through those gardens, right over there we have the beautiful terrace that I was saying before. Plus with this light, I think that will be perfect time for the pictures. Plus, trust me, you will notice later the difference. I don't know what happened today. Maybe we're being good with the timing, but it's completely empty. Usually, at the Roman Forum, to enter at least 20 minutes of line. Some days I did 50 minutes of line when it was summertime. So remember the heat? So down, when we look at those arches, different floors, we are on top of the Domus Tiberiana. What was the Domus Tiberiana? The palace of the Emperor Tiberio. So the palace starts from here, goes all the way here, and all the way on the other side. So where you saw before the stairs, that is something for the archaeologists, they can go underneath the other floor. But this was the palace of the Emperor Tiberio. Then what they did, they destroyed the top part that was over here to create instead this terrace, Terrazza del Belvedere. Okay, but also when we walk around, we see those. And then once again, we're quite lucky because we can be understand why it's called the terrace of Arch of Septimio Severo. From here we have the best perspective because in front of the arch you can see the forum. We said before, no? What was the forum? Means a square. So the green grass over there, the square in front of the arch, that was the forum. So it's common to call all the area the Roman Forum, but if you want to be precise, the forum is that one over there. That was the main square with all around the markets, the shops, main buildings, main temples. Everything that was important in Rome was in this valley that we have in front of us. For example, the brown building over there, on the right side of the forum, that was the ancient Senate. It's called the Curia, where the senators would meet inside to talk about political decisions. Along the side of the forum, when you see those long buildings, those are other basilicas. Now we know what is a basilica, a building that was connected for the political speeches. Each dynasty would have their own basilica, so the dynasty Julia, the dynasty Emilia, so all the main families would have their own basilica inside. So the part with the forum, the senate and the basilicas, we can say that side over there, more connected to the political life. The part over here was more connected to pagan gods or pagan emperors. In front of the forum, when you see that complex of bricks and a little metal rooftop, can you see it? The half hexagonal rooftop, no? That is the basement of the temple of Julius Caesar, Julio Cesare. Why Julius Caesar is so famous? Because he was the first, the greatest emperor of the Roman Empire. So when he died in the 44 BC, killed by the senators, his nephew, the next emperor called Augustus, decided to build a temple in honor to him right in front of the forum. It's not a case because that was really the heart of ancient Rome. So now the temple is destroyed, but underneath the metal rooftop there is a big rock. The tradition says that underneath the rock we have the ashes of the body of Julius Caesar. Because if you are a good emperor, someone would create a temple in honor to you, and inside then they would do the cremation of the body. So we're not 100% sure because they still have to excavate, but according to the tradition, underneath the metal rooftop, underneath the rock, is supposed to be the ashes of Julius Caesar. Next to the temple of Julius Caesar, when you see the little rounded temple with 3 white columns, that is called the Temple of Vesta. Inside the Temple of Vesta, they will have the big holy fire called the Fire of Vesta. And they had this tradition that this fire always have to be on, otherwise bad things could happen in Rome. So to take care of the holy fire of Vesta, you see this big building with the garden and the pond. It's called the Atrium Veste, it was the house of the 16 ladies, the vessels, that were the guardians from the holy fire. So they were kept inside this building for 30 years. They couldn't go outside. They couldn't get married. Sorry. Husband, so sorry. I always do. Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, sorry. I'm a mess. So they were kept inside the building for 30 years. They couldn't go outside. They couldn't do anything because they were the guardians of the holy fire. Remember that before we said that life at that time was 40 years, so pretty much the whole life. Just inside the building, the only connection to the outside world was to walk inside the temple of Vesta to take care of this fire that always have to be on. You would say, what a horrible life, there were slaves. Well, no, volunteers. I want to be a vessel, I want to stay inside 30 years of my life inside doing nothing. At that time it was an honor. They were considered like a holy human beings. So we can say that the area next to the temple of Vesta was a very holy part of the city. Okay, so like we said before, political life, religious life over here. Give me a second. Then, sorry, I know I'm a mess, I know. But I mean, I cannot help but being a mess. There we go. I was saying that also from here, I would like to show you why it's possible that we still have those temples over there. Those were temples dedicated to pagan emperors. For example, Antonino Pio, 141 after Christ. Temple of Rome, 300 after Christ. How come it's possible that they didn't destroy those temples? We said before that if you are a pagan temple, you usually be destroyed to recycle the marble and create instead churches. Well, those temples survived because if you look at the top, you see a cross. So those ancient pagan temples being converted to churches. If you are a church in Rome, you are protected. You're property of the Vatican, of the Pope, no one can go there to destroy them. So we can say that if you are a pagan temple in Rome, you have two main options. One, you can be destroyed. Second option, you can be converted to a church. That is something common in Rome. The Pantheon, I don't know if you saw the Pantheon, if you will see it, you have to go there because I will tell you the name of the best ice cream place is nearby the Pantheon. So when you go once again in front of the Pantheon, built in the 27 BC, that was the temple dedicated to all pagan gods. Pantheon in Greek means all gods. If you go there, Pantheon still standing, well preserved. Why they didn't destroy the Pantheon? If you walk inside, it is a church. Okay, that helps you to understand why it's possible to see something pagan so ancient still standing because of this reason. Then let me also show you the other side over here because now, okay, beautiful, the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, all the ancient ruins, but you are in Rome. What else is very nice to do in Rome? So I would like to show you first of all that, well, now we know that in front of the Vatican you have the city center. Then in front of you, this little area is called the Monti, but I usually suggest someone is leaving Rome today. Yes. Do you still have lunch?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go this way. I always suggest to don't leave Rome. Maybe you can. To don't leave Rome without going at least once in the local area in front of us, on the other side of the river, called Trastevere. Have you been in Trastevere? Yes. You don't know. It's like, let me help you. It's like, first of all, it's the area on the other side of the river. Okay. If you remember to walk on a bridge, and it's this very particular area because you can really feel the Roman atmosphere. You have those narrow streets, the best food, the best authentic local places. So I usually suggest to go at least once in Trastevere. Also for a nice walk, for an aperitivo, for the best Roman food. Like if a friend of mine comes in Rome and say, Mary, you're Roman, you like food where I can go? I have a suggestion. No worries. I will give you some options of places where I usually go are just suggestions. You don't have to go there. So at least you know where the Romans go, so you will taste the difference. Rome is a big city. you can end up in touristic places where you spend a lot and the food is not the best. I don't want this for you. Why you have to spend a lot of money and the food is not even good. But if you go in the local areas where the Romans go, food is not so expensive but the best quality. They have fresh ingredients and they know how to make the authentic Roman food, like the Roman pasta. Now, we will go in the ship so I can give you those suggestions. But first of all, just to tell you also, depending on where you decided to exit, but for example, from the White Monument to the Wedding Cake, 15 minutes of walk, 20 maximum, you walk left side, you will see the river, you go on the other side of the river, you are in Trastevere. And I'll give you different options. Or you can go in front, you have the city center, or even more close, you have some nice places also in this area called the Monte. There is another little local area, but Trastevere is where usually all the Romans go, like in the weekend to eat. Today is Friday. Okay, Friday lunch is still nice. From the evening, I have to give a suggestion to avoid the crowd because it starts the weekend, but no panic. The trick is to go before the locals. Now we'll tell you everything.